Hello and welcome to the video that shows what happened in my team Fortune Fire's game week 3 and what's to come ahead for game week 4. Another quick turnaround as today is our only break day and tomorrow the games start again with I think it's Pacific and Valor. Yeah, no, you can't see it right there. Maybe if I move this over a little bit. There we go. And Valor tomorrow. Much better game week than the previous game week. If we remember the previous game week, I only scored 31 points. Basically, everyone just getting points for being a part of the games, and with exception for a couple cavalry clean sheets. Much more contribution. A lot of it in injury time of games, but I'll take it any way I can get it for the most part. So going over Henry Pacific goal ruined that clean sheet. With goalies, it's either they get scored on or they don't get scored on for the most part. I thought on an app that I saw that I follow Score and stuff, it said that he got 3 saves, but I guess not. So he gets stuck on the 2 points for playing more than 60 minutes, which, barring injury, a goalkeeper normally does. Going to our defense, not really that surprised that Farsi didn't start. With how good he's been, I just didn't want a chance not getting him because at a 25k price tag, I'm assuming a lot of people have him in his team now, and yeah, it's just if he does go off, gets a clean sheet, gets an assist or a goal because he's playing forward, that's not something I want to be missing out on. So despite not getting any points through him, I bet a lot of people aren't getting a lot of points from him, so I don't see that as too much of a detriment. Other than that, the other two defenders I had got clean sheets. Actually, sorry, no, that's not true. Mavila didn't get a clean sheet. He got a goal, which I'd even say is better because it's easy to kind of defend against other people getting cavalry clean sheets just by having a different defender. Doesn't need to be necessarily a specific one as long as they play. But getting a goal, you need to have chosen the right one. And I think a lot of people are starting to choose Mavila if they haven't already. Originally, it was the Toro was the big one. But 25k less, and this is his second goal. And he'll get clean sheets on Cavalry. Mavilas has turned out to be a really good pick, and I think as of right now he's the leading point getter in fantasy. I think I saw that on their page. So if people don't already have him, I'm assuming that more people are going to get him in their team. And Thompson, probably another one of my best value picks other than Farsi at 25k as well, and he started and played every game for York 9 so far. We'll get to how disappointed I've been in their attack in a second, but at least was good with the 0-0 draw against Valor. Moving up into the midfield, I was so excited going into this. I was like, this is going to be a great week, which it wasn't a bad week, but the roller coaster, it was a roller coaster. That's how I'll describe it. And it started good. Saw Petrasso, Aparicio, Telfer, Thompson all starting. I was like, okay, this is the game. They're facing Valor, a team that did horrible last season. Kind of been wishy-washy this season so far. But this is going to be the game where Telfer gets a goal and it's assisted by Aparicio, and then Aparicio scores and it's assisted by Petrasso, and that's the mentality I had going into this. Really early in the game, Petrasso gets injured, of course, and the rest of the game, Valor proving that, well, they don't have a lot going forward unless they're up man. They're doing really well defensively, especially with Jean-Baptiste back there. He's been a good pick. I'm still too wishy-washy to start picking up Valor defense. I don't trust that yet. I feel like they could get scored on at least once in games, but not against York 9, who's been extremely disappointing. It's been funny hearing some of the analysts say, oh, York 9's still, I think it was Kurt Larson saying, York 9's still undefeated. They have, and it's only the beginning, like they're not pressured under games yet, but they only have 3 ties, 3 points. And as far as a 7-game season goes, yes, we're in the first half, but if you put the amount of points to separate teams the same, except in a 28-game season with the same amount of games left, you're saying every game's a must-win at this point. So I disagree with that. I think York 9's in big trouble, and 2 of their last 4 games are against Forge and Cavalry, so I don't think it's a big surprise that I'm calling this. I'm not going to say, oh, you heard it here first kind of thing, but I think York 9's out. I do not think they'll be part of the top 4. And I think a lot of people, if they're smart, would be predicting the same thing. Moving on from that, though, Telfer and Petrasso are both going to be gone this week. I gave them 3 chances, and 2 of those chances were against Atletico Ottawa and Valor, and they couldn't do anything there, so I'm done with them. the other midfielders, Becker, I captained last week and he didn't play great. He sat back a lot, so I didn't captain him this week. I still wanted to play him this week. Like, he still scored the first game, thought I'd give him another chance. And it looked like another wash week until the very end. The referee added 6 minutes on for stoppages in the 97th, so this was played over. And I think in the 96th, it was still back with Henry. So I don't necessarily know why the ref extended it over another minute. There wasn't too much time wasting going on either. So, but anyway, I'm happy it did because down it came. Babouli got across along the box, and Becker smashed it in just before the final whistle. So that was a huge 5 points for Becker and 3 for Babouli, so an 8-point play there. And I was so happy after that. I shot up the rankings with that, despite a lot of people having Becker. I don't think as many have had faith in Babouli lately just because he hasn't been starting and he's 75k. But that goal made me really happy. And obviously Forge went on to win that game, so double happy. Pasquati, he's been on Cavalry, so he's normally been getting about 3 points per game because they got scored on. I didn't get that extra point. He has still been attacking, like I've been watching. I actually didn't watch that much of the last game, but I have been seeing like he's there, he's passing the ball in the box kind of thing. He's taking some shots, and he's just, I think, getting really unlucky to not get points. I am making room for another Cavalry player this week, so I am getting rid of him. But if people still have him, I don't think he's like a must drop just because he did get an assist the first week, and the potential is there, I think. Next, I already touched on Babouli for strikers. Gosh, if you had Ngaro this week and I captained him, and down 2-0 to Atletico Ottawa, and they blow another 2-goal lead, and if you haven't already seen it and you have Ngaro, watch how you got those points, because that ball was rolling just basically on the line. I think it was rolling in, and he just got a touch when the ball was like already halfway over the goal line just to steal that goal, and I couldn't be happier, except a double goal for me with him as captain. I would be very disappointed if he didn't, because I'd end up with 4 points rather than 12. So that really helped me as well. And like, he was expected to do great things. He did well last year. He was expected to do great things. Maybe just his name getting on that score sheet is what he needed. I'm not going to drop him just yet, despite playing pretty poor so far throughout the tournament otherwise. But I'll give him another go and see what he can do. And then Telfer again with the 1 point going back there. I saw the right people this week. No one got over 1 point, which some of the people that I had starting, but it really wouldn't have mattered. Boskovic started again, which is good to see that he's getting a lot of time. You'll see what I'm coming up with this week. As far as my starting lineup with the Cavalry defense goes. But that's kind of how my week went. It was good times as far as supporter-wise. Forge won. It was good. I got a lot of returns. My captain came up clutch for me. I still had good defense despite only one game having a clean sheet. It was double clean sheet because Valor and York 9 got it. But other than that, all the other teams got scored on at some point. And last week I was 85th in the world, and I shot right up to 38th. So I'm in the top 40 now, which is looking really good. 23 points behind the leader, which is very possible to make up over the course of the rest of the season. And we'll move on to what just happened this morning, which was my transfers and what my team's going to be looking like by the time games start tomorrow. For the most part, things can always change, but I doubt it. So yeah, we'll go to manage team. Actually, normally I reset the scores, so we'll just go back to that. Final scores, as we know, York 9 and Valor were 0-0, Forge beat Pacific 2-1. The comeback with Edmonton led to a 2-2 draw between Ottawa and Edmonton, and Cavalry won 2-1. Garcia got a late penalty in that one, which was a little annoying because a decent amount of people do have him, so it would have been nice with him not getting points, but anyway. My team. So, lining up in a 4-3-3 this week. I originally thought Babouli was just going to be that 1 week player because I thought he was going to start, and that was actually another annoying part, is seeing Balbenuti start, and I was, what the heck, I thought I was just going to go Novak Babouli throughout the time, and of course he gets sat, and I mean, he came on and got the assist, so I'm trying not to complain about that too much, but that would have been another point for playing 60 minutes, and it would have made my decision this week a lot easier. I'd be getting rid of Babuli, thinking Novak was going to start again. But now that's not the case, because Novak and Babuli both played for almost the same amount of time, so technically Babuli has more rest, and I just think he's still a better player. I don't understand why Bobby's not playing him more. Oh, Bobby Smiriotis frustrates me so much. Another thing to keep in mind, my friend Peter, who I talked about in the last video, let me know that Forge is actually behind the most on playing U21 minutes, which, in case you don't know, there in the Canadian Premier League, there is a certain amount of minutes that players under the age of 21 need to play on your team, and Forge is the most behind from making that quota. And the fact that they highlighted it makes me think that they're behind by quite a bit. One of the big problems is they tried to play Cella in one of their games, and he got injured almost right after he came on the field. So they only have 2 other players that meet that criteria of under 21. One of them is, I think it's pronounced Monson or something, and he did play a decent amount last year, and he's not a bad player at all. But the other one is their keeper. And I know a lot of people in fantasy have Henry as their goalie, so not to try to scare anyone away necessarily, I'm still going to be riding him this week, but we might see a backup keeper be played for Forge, just like we saw Carducci sit yesterday's game. So that's just something to keep in mind. Anyway, my transfers for this week, as I kind of already explained, going over my team, Piscotty, Telfer, Petrasso all out. In is coming Brown, the Golden Boot leader right now. He's got 3, which I think just is ahead of Garcia, who had 2. So Brown's coming in, and he's getting the captaincy. Valor is no longer really my team to pick on too much. As far as maybe I'll start getting some defensive teams that are playing Valor, because they haven't really been scoring, but they seem to be doing good defensively, so I'm not just trying to say who's playing Valor and I'm going to try to target them. It's kind of turned into Ottawa and maybe even Edmonton going forward. Edmonton doesn't look like they're doing very good. I know I said cut them some slack because they're facing Forge and Cavalry to start, but to let in 2 quick goals against Ottawa, that was not looking good at all. So might try to stay away from them. Other than Ungaro, I'm going to give another go just because he rewarded me last time, or I'm kind of rewarding him for rewarding me. So Henry's going to get the starting goal. It's not going to change. This week, I am putting a lot of eggs in one basket with Cavalry playing Ottawa, hoping that Ottawa doesn't score, and I'm hoping all 3 of my defense do. Varsity didn't start last game, so I'm hoping that he's going to start. Mavilla's just been doing really great. I'm hoping he's going to start. And Boskovic, it's my kind of like my wild card. I don't know if he's going to start. He has been starting the last 2 games for sure, which I like, so I'm hoping that he starts again, and if I can get a triple Cavalry clean sheet, a lot of people probably have 1 or 2. I doubt many have 3. Some might have Carducci, but if Forge get a clean sheet as well, that could be big. Like I said, I'm not really targeting the Valor defense anymore so much as I'm assuming they're not going to be scoring many goals. So I got McNaughton in. He does get forward a bit, as we saw in that header against York 9. But if he can be back there, only a 50k player, and he could get me a clean sheet, that would be really helpful as well. Now, I was trying my transfers. I was thinking a lot. There were like a couple players I wanted to bring in. I didn't really want to get rid of Piscotty. I just did it to get in Brown. He's been getting a lot of points, and I'd like to try to cover those and maybe even surpass people that have him because I'm going to have him captained. But originally I wanted to bring in Bustos for this week, and that's why that changed, because I didn't want to get rid of Babuli anymore, and I needed to account for that transfer of Piscotty out and Brown in. So into the midfield, I did bring in Sabak as well, because I needed to cover Petrasso and Piscotty, and I don't know how that's going to work out. While Becker seems to have been doing better than him, he seems to be playing really far back, and Sabak hasn't been getting as much attacking returns except for a penalty, but he's been playing a lot forward, so I hope they kind of come together. I hope Sabak starts lighting it up, and if both of them can do well. Sabak sat last game, so that's another reason why I bring him in. I'm pretty confident that he'll be starting and playing at least 60 minutes, which he normally has been, maybe hopefully more. And I am a little worried that Becker won't be starting. He's played every minute so far, and Bobby likes throwing wrenches and things. So with Tissot starting last game, again, you're welcome to everyone that picked him up and listened to me because I got rid of him. I said that he was going to start, and he did. Although it's not like he scored really big, so I wasn't that upset by it. But maybe he's going to be starting and filling in the Becker role for a game. So just throwing that out there as well. If he's playing higher up in a midfield position when he's listed as a defender, it's never a bad thing to have. And Blasco, I've seen him kind of up and around the box a bit. He got the corner assist on McNaughton's goal, so he's taking some set pieces, which is always good for your players to get assists and stuff. If it's free kicks, then you might get goals out of it, but I'm not sure Blasco's on free kicks. But yeah, just take a chance on him. Kind of goes against what I said about not targeting Valor's defense, but I just thought he'd be a good goal. I was choosing between him and Verhoeven, and this is specifically Zach Verhoeven, because he gets forward too. But I think Verhoeven normally goes game in, game out, and he just played, so I decided to go with Blasco this time. And striking, I've mostly touched on. Banking on Babuli to have that extra, basically, games rest on Novak and get the start. Hoping Ungaro can continue off of what he's done, and then hoping that Brown will have, let's say, a hat trick against Atletico Ottawa, just a complete field day, and double up those points big time for me to help me continue to climb the rankings. Probably a lot of people will have captaincy on Brown. Again, though, some people say it's not a risk because he has been playing and scoring, but they have Haber, they have Brown, and then they have Cordova, who still hasn't seen the field, but I assume they wouldn't bring in a guy for nothing, so I'm just kind of scared that Wheeldon's just going to throw him in all of a sudden and ruin everything, and then maybe I'll just get Brown subbed in for a single point and doubles to 2 because of captain. There's a wasted captain for the week, and a wasted transfer, really. Because eventually I'm going to have to get out these Cavalry and Forge players, and I keep saying it's going to start next week, it's going to start next week. It will have to start this next week, trying to bring in players for that game week 6. I don't know. I'm assuming Fantasy will not create a wild card for that game week. I don't think that makes sense. That's just part of the game because you had your double game week at the start. This is what makes up for it. What I am curious for is for the second round. This is actually my first time playing. I don't know what ended up happening last season if the finals counted towards fantasy as well. So I don't even. It shows actually 11 game weeks. So yes, the round of or the group of 4 and the finals will, I guess, be part of it. So yeah, that actually answers that question for me now that I think of it. But specific players will have to be moved around, and I'm wondering if we're going to get a wild card after this season of 7 games. But yes, that's mostly what I have to say. That's my team going forward, the 4-3-3. And I'm now in 38th overall, which is a really nice jump out of 362. So that's nothing to shake a stick at. I'm pretty happy about that, and just gonna hope that I keep moving up more. I think 10 more. I'm at 130 points though, and I think the first page it shows 10 at a time. So the first page I think is at 140. So I'm 10 points away from the first page, 23 from the top of the league. So I'm happy about that. Again. Check out my Instagram page if you want. That's KNFPL _forged in fire. That's where I kind of a little earlier post my final point totals, my transfers, and my starting lineups. And then sometimes add to the story depending on what's happening as well. But anywho, have a good game week 4. Enjoy the game tomorrow. I hate having to wait till 8 sometimes to watch them, but better than nothing. And talk to you after the game week. Take care.